Educators and ed leaders, are you ready to revolutionize the way we teach and learn? Join us at South by Southwest EDU 2025, the must-attend event where education meets bold innovation. This year's conference and festival is packed with groundbreaking keynotes and featured sessions on topics like tackling AI in the classroom, rethinking student assessment, and the future of teacher well-being. Plus, connect one-on-one with thought leaders through personalized mentor sessions, enjoy a host of networking opportunities, watch trailblazing competitions, and so much more. Mark your calendars for March 3rd through 6th, 2025 in Austin, Texas, and register now at southbysouthwestedu.com. That's SXSW EDU.com. Let's work together to shape the future of education, one idea at a time.
You're listening to the Getting Smart podcast. I'm Shawnee Caruthers. What if the future of healthcare isn't just about technology, but about rethinking how we prepare the people behind it? Today, we're diving into the BlueSky Institute, a bold initiative that's not just reshaping healthcare education, but redefining what's possible in workforce development. Faced with critical shortages and rapid industry shifts, BlueSky is tackling these challenges with an approach that's as daring as it is effective. In partnering with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee and East Tennessee State University, they're crafting cutting-edge pathways that combine technology, hands-on experience, and a vision for what's next. We'll uncover how they're transforming communities, preparing students for a rapidly changing industry, and addressing the big question: how do we train the healthcare heroes of tomorrow? This is a conversation you won't forget. Let's dive in. I am joined by Brad Leon, Executive Director of the BlueSky Institute at Eastern Tennessee State University, which is a part of Tennessee's Accelerate Ed cohort, supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Accelerate Ed is built on the idea that high schools can provide early access to quality higher education in ways that incorporate work-connected learning and have long-term benefits for students. This initiative helps state-based groups plan and build accelerated pathways between K-12 education, post-secondary education, and careers. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Shawnee. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for joining us today.
I'm pleased to be with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We want to hear more about the BlueSky Institute. So can you share the story behind the founding of the BlueSky Institute?
Yeah, I'll discuss why Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee launched the initiative and why I also wanted to join the team, because I don't come from a healthcare background. I'm a K-12 educator by vocation. So BlueSky was started because we were facing a few different challenges with our IT team. The first was that we couldn't find nearly enough people who had this particular skill set within the regional workforce. So at any given time, we'll be at about a 20% vacancy rate, 80% fully staffed. And that problem isn't unique to Blue Cross. If you look across the state of Tennessee, last year, there were about 4,500 jobs that required an IT background, specifically computing or computer science. And there were only about 1,100 graduates collectively between all Tennessee colleges and universities. And if you would scale that up to the United States or even a global scale, you'd see that in cybersecurity alone, which is just one small part of the IT field, there were 750,000 open cybersecurity jobs in the United States alone. So there's a demand problem. We're just not graduating enough people with this skill set. The second big challenge that we faced is that once people would work for us, even if they had the skill set, it would take us another 18 months to train them up because their college curricula had not fully prepared them for the world of work. And then the third thing that we were facing was more of a community-based challenge in Chattanooga. Their persistence rates weren't very good, basically. They'd go to college, but single digits would persist through college over a 6-year period. And so we thought, is there a way for us to work to solve all of these problems at the same time? So that was why the initiative was started. And then for my part as an educator, I had worked in K-12 education, and there's an ongoing debate whether all kids should or shouldn't go to college. And if it's a binary, then I'm on the side of college because there's no disputing the correlation between a degree and lifetime earnings. But what I was seeing far too frequently was that there was a huge disconnect between getting a degree and the world of work. and students would accumulate tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Maybe they would major in something that was connected to the world of work. Maybe they wouldn't. And instead of building wealth for them and their families, they'd spend the first 15 years of their career paying back student loans. And I thought, man, there's just got to be a better way to do this. And so when I heard about the BlueSky idea, I was immediately attracted to it.
So you talked about kind of solving three problems at once, but as you think about that collaboration between the Institute, BlueSky Institute, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, and then Eastern Tennessee State University, walk us through how that came about, because those are three very different organizations, but all coming together for a common goal.
So what BlueSky Tennessee Institute is a partnership between East Tennessee State University and the Hamilton County School System, which is the Chattanooga school system here. And the very first thing that it is it's an accelerated bachelor's degree in computing. So what would usually take students 4 or 5 years, with us, it takes a little more than 2, so 27 months to get a full bachelor's degree in computing. And so that was the reason we needed a university partner, because we not only see the BlueSky students who do the program as entry-level IT workers, but as the future workforce or future leadership of our company. And you can't get leadership positions. You're not even eligible for leadership positions in our company unless you have a degree. So we wanted to make sure that we were equipping students with that degree. And for that, we needed a university partner. And East Tennessee State has been a great partner. The second thing that it is it's all based at our corporate headquarters here in Chattanooga. So I'm in the BlueSky space right now. Our students take classes here. But the reason we wanted it on site was so that they could get to know the people who worked in our company, get to know the work of our company before they came on site. And they take a full year of paid internships while they're with us. So in addition to taking their coursework, they get a year's worth of work experience on our IT team, so they're fully prepared. Third big component is that we wanted 100% graduation rate. Persistence rates in the United States and in Tennessee specifically are not very good. They're around 50%. And we wanted 100% of our students to graduate. So we built in really robust student supports and a cohort model so that they would all go through it together. And then I think finally, and importantly for me as a K-12 educator, and the reason I came on, was that not only are students graduating within 27 months with a year's worth of work experience, but they're getting a guaranteed job on our IT team if they successfully complete the program. And they're all doing it at no cost. So we've raised enough money through scholarship dollars to ensure that every student who goes through our program is debt-free when they walk out. And almost half of our students are coming from those high priority schools that our community really cares about making sure we're improving the graduation rates with. So we're very proud of where we are today. And that's just a little bit about, who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. And East Tennessee State was the partner that we selected because we thought that they were as committed to the vision as we were, and they've been an amazing partner along the way.
So about how many students are in each cohort?
There are 30 students per cohort, so we have about 90 students right now with us. So 3 separate cohorts are with us at different phases of their continuum.
And so going through that internship process for a year, it's about 30 students going through having that year-long experience. And so that's an amazing process. How do you prepare those employers or the mentors, I guess, who are working in the organization to help facilitate those internship experiences for learners?
Yeah, so there's actually a couple of different mentorship components we have in the program. So one component, and this is usually happening in the first 15 months that they're with us, is an executive mentorship program between our C-level employees, our C-level leaders, and the BlueSky students. And so those sessions are happening on a monthly basis, and they're topics like teamwork, leadership, maximizing your own efficiency, those kinds of topics, so that our students are coming in and hearing from our organization's strongest leaders. And then after their first 15 months with us, they start to get mentored specifically by IT folks who have a much greater understanding of the work that they're going to be doing. So the executive leaders sort of hand them off to the IT leaders. And then when they get into the internship itself, they've got a whole management chain that is really committed to making sure that they have a great experience to do work that they know will help prepare them for when they're with us. And the whole goal behind the mentorship and the internship was so that the students who went through it didn't need an additional 18 months of training. They would finish their coursework at BlueSky and their internship with BlueSky and then hit the ground running as soon as they become employees. And our first cohort, every single one of them was given a job offer. They weren't required to take it. There was no hook. They didn't have to pay us back if they didn't want to take a job with us. But 100% of the students in cohort 1 accepted our job offer. And so we'll be working with us full time in January. And like I said, I mean, almost half of these students were coming from high priority, low income schools in Chattanooga. And not only are they going to be making $60,000 a year plus with no debt, but they also are in a field where they're going to have an amazing career where they're going to be in demand.
Wow, that's amazing. So, Brad, how did you then get involved with the Accelerate Ed initiative, and what does that work look like?
So I got contacted by Education Strategies Group about a year and a half ago. And when I heard about the work they were doing, which was specifically around workforce development initiatives, I was really excited to learn more and then be a part of it for a couple of reasons. One, when you're doing this kind of work, it can feel like you're doing it alone. And the more I heard about what Accelerate Ed was doing, the more I realized like we were definitely not alone, and there were people that we could learn from, and there are people that we could also help along the way with whatever lessons learned we have. I mean, some of our lessons learned are not lessons of success, they're lessons of failure, and we wanted to be able to share both, our successes and our failures with others, and hear from them so that we could get better for our students. So that was the primary reason. It's like, I want to learn more from other people. I want them to learn from us. And, there was also a huge upside in that along the way, one of the things that we took on was thinking about what our future was going to look like in BlueSky. And given that when we joined the Accelerate Ed program, we hadn't been thinking a whole lot about that. I mean, we were really heads down trying to make sure that we were delivering for our students, but it was good to zoom up to a 30,000 foot level and think, okay, what do we want to do as we move forward into the future?
Yeah. So, what are the educational programs that you all offer?
So the only educational program that we offer is a bachelor's degree in computing. So, and that's also, I think, an interesting story. I mean, when we do our whole admissions process for BlueSky, one of the things that we're looking for, we created a profile, and one of the things we needed from students was enthusiasm for the field of technology. Because if you want to change majors, you can't be a part of this program anymore. And I think that when students really know that this is about getting a degree in computing, and then there are no clear off ramps because you could lose your scholarship dollars. You'll have to relocate to the main campus at ETSU, which is 3.5 hours away. I really think it gets students really focused on that particular content. And, we've had a really good retention rate so far. We've had 1 or 2 students decide to pursue something else, but that's been the rare minority so far.
Yeah, and there's a lot of conversation about what you just said when you said when students really know. There's been conversation about how do students really know? What is the process of cultivating that process for students? So from your perspective, how do you all get students to really know?
Yeah. I mean, I will admit the difference between like knowing something and experiencing something and knowing it are two completely different things. But the approach we take to recruitment, we try to be as experiential as possible. And one of the primary ways we do that is through what's called a game design challenge with one of our key partners, the Public Education Foundation here in Chattanooga. So what they do, every local high school will nominate 10 to 15 students to be a part of the game design challenge, where in the beginning of the day, they're building a video game from scratch. And they're getting to see what it would look like to potentially code, to build, something through computing and get that experiential hands-on learning to see if this is something that resonates with them or doesn't. Then they come up to our campus and they show off the games that they've created. They learn more about BlueSky, and they really get immersed in like just one whole day of what it would look like. And what's been so interesting to me about BlueSky and the experience we've had is that most students who join us have had no prior exposure to computing. They were just inspired by the experiential offerings that we did. And they said, hey, I love the game design challenge. And I love technology generally. I've never had the opportunity to have a coding class, but here's why I'm enthusiastic about taking this on. And I would say 85 to 90% of our students have never had that prior exposure. And as a result, we're not only bringing people into Blue Cross, we're bringing people into the field who wouldn't otherwise have considered this as a career field that they would pursue, which is something we're all very proud of.
So, in thinking about Blue Cross, how do you integrate healthcare into your Bachelor's of Computing program or into the BlueSky, just the initiative in general, to prepare students for that evolving industry?
Yeah. I mean, I think the primary way that we do that, and I mean, there are courses that ETSU will take them through that deal specifically with the healthcare system, but the immersion with our workforce is what we're trying to is the experience we're trying to give them. So the year of internships is all. I mean, they are working for Blue Cross. They are Blue Cross employees at that point, and they are learning deeply about the healthcare system when they're in a part of that internship. But I also think through the relationships that they're building with senior leaders, with IT staff, they're better understanding the day in, day out of what that looks like. And they're getting immersed in our values, which is very member centric. Like we want to deliver for our members. Peace of mind through better health is our mission. And I think that because they have exposure to so many people here who really live that ethos, they're being immersed in it. And the fact that they're all going to work for us, I think, suggests that all of that is working.
What are you hearing from students as a result of their experience?
Well, our first cohort, they've in general loved their experience. They're going to work for us. They're excited about the program. They're committed to the program. They've made the program better. And we've made mistakes along the way, and especially that first cohort has been instrumental in helping us correct course when we've made those mistakes. But most students don't think this is real. I speak with every single one of our students one-on-one. I was having coffee with someone who was telling me that he has a job outside of BlueSky. His boss doesn't think this is real. Like this is kind of a made up thing because you're completing college in half the time. You're getting paid. You're getting a full scholarship to do this program, and you're getting a guaranteed job. There's really nothing like that I've heard of, and so most students, are really appreciative of the opportunity, and pinch themselves that they get to be a part of it.
And are you hearing any feedback from parents?
One of the shifts we made in recruitment, we realized that it was as important for us to recruit parents as it was students. So once they get into the BlueSky program, because of FERPA, there's not a whole lot of communication allowed by law with parents, but we knew that on the front end that parents would inherently have a better understanding of this opportunity, because like the students who get in, they were like, are you kidding me? Like this is a real thing. And so we made a pivot a couple of years ago to really focus our recruitment as much on the parents as on the students. And we've seen just a huge increase in applications since we started doing that. In fact, we're more than 33% up from our previous high at our first deadline, which was just last Friday. We're up 25% at the priority schools that we really prioritize for recruitment. And I think that's because we've shifted towards, pitching as much to parents as students. And so parents have really appreciated the opportunity and know exactly what this could mean for their son or daughter if they get through this program successfully.
Students are happy, parents are happy. Let's talk workforce. In what ways are you all at BlueSky Institute addressing the current workforce shortages in the healthcare sector?
Well, that is the reason we
Yeah.
launched. There was insufficient talent supply coming into at least the things that make us a healthcare company. So what our CEO would say is that yes, we are delivering healthcare. We are we are delivering peace of mind through better health for our members, but we do that through technology. Like we don't do anything as a company that is not enabled significantly by technology. We're not processing claims by hand anymore. I mean, if we don't have a great IT infrastructure, we simply cannot do the business that we're in. And so by building something like BlueSky, building our own talent pipeline, we're hoping to help solve that problem. And it's the kind of approach that I think that more employers are going to need to really consider as the demographics of the workforce change, as IT and technology in general becomes much more central to any kind of work, not just healthcare. But that's why the institute was started, because we needed to maintain the strength as a business, and we saw our IT workforce as key to that.
Yeah, and you're solving these workforce needs, and on the other side of that, you're truly changing the trajectory for these families, for these students,
That's right.
which in turn has a really great impact on the community. So, how do you all engage with the local community? What does that look like?
We engage the community primarily through our interactions with parents during the recruitment process and also directly with schools. We have really great school level relationships with college advisors, teachers, with administrators, and they're the reason why we've had such success at the beginning of our program and even till today, because we wouldn't otherwise have access to students, even though we're providing them a great opportunity. Those relationships have really enabled us to get the word out and to cultivate the right students that we're looking for. So those are the primary ways we're engaging with the community through BlueSky.
Yeah, we talk a lot also around just like client connected projects and helping teachers to connect with local industry to create these kind of experiences for students. How do you maintain that relationship with teachers to keep them engaged so that students can continue to be acclimated to the programs that you all are offering?
Yeah, I think it's inherent in our recruitment process. It relies on relationships with school level staff, and that is teachers, that is college advisors, guidance counselors. We're literally asking schools to nominate people who they think would be a good fit, which on our end requires us to go in and build those relationships. We do a lot of one-on-one recruiting. And so without the nominations of teachers and with college advisors, we wouldn't even have access to students to begin with. So for us, it's we're less a 30,000 foot marketing recruitment operation. It's very labor intensive and focused on building those relationships at the school level. So we couldn't recruit the way that we do. We couldn't be as smart about recruitment as the way that we do, unless we had those school level relationships. So for us, it's inherent in how we approach the whole thing.
Are there like credentials that students are also earning as being a part of this program?
Yeah. So the ETSU curriculum, part of the reason we chose ETSU is because they have an internationally accredited curriculum for computing. It's an incredible curriculum. And they also have a partnership with Google where students are earning Google certifications as they go through the program. So they're taking advantage of that, and they are getting certifications as they go along, as they're earning credits towards their degree.
I know that any great program does not come without its challenges. So, what are some challenges that you all have faced since the inception of BlueSky, and how have you kind of navigated that terrain?
Yeah. I would say that the first challenge that we faced was finding a university partner. Believe it or not, it was really difficult for us to find an institution that was excited about the idea, was willing to take on a risky and innovative approach. And we spent a lot of time with a lot of universities who ultimately decided they didn't want to go on this journey with us. And in some ways, I think that was fortuitous because that led us to ETSU, who has been the ideal partner. But for a long time, we had the idea of BlueSky, but no way to make it real because we didn't have a university partner who wanted to do it with us. And so there were some very tough times around that and lessons learned for sure. But that was one of the challenges that we faced along the way. I think second challenge was there is a complete dearth of students who have access to these kinds of classes in high school and who have exposure to computing in any way during high school. And so we're trying to increase the overall number of people who go into this field, and it can be difficult for students who have never taken a computing class at all to step foot into a program that's all about computing and take a very rigorous coursework. So there's a lot of academic support and emotional support, psychological support that's needed every step of the way. So we've tried to build a great infrastructure, specifically our student success manager, Melissa Graham, who has an amazing background in history and counseling and advising for students. But the ETSU faculty on site have also gone above and beyond to make sure that students are getting every single chance that they can to demonstrate mastery of a particular subject. So it's a different approach happening here than what would happen on a main campus because one, we're a lot smaller and you can give a lot more personal attention, but we all share goals around what we want for students. And so getting to a place where we're helping students develop in their own mastery is an ongoing challenge. And so I would say the challenges around student support are never ending. And the challenges initially finding a college, a university partner were really challenging. And so that's what I'd leave with folks, because I think that the work with students is always going to be relevant. And for those who are trying to build something like this and the partner aspect, it requires a lot of time and attention and patience on both sides. And so that's what I sort of point to. What immediately struck me about the difference between ETSU and other partners we were talking to, every step, every person that we would interact with as a part of BlueSky was enthusiastic about the project. So it started with the Office of the President. We initially engaged President Brian Noland, who's been the president at ETSU for quite some time, and he was really enthusiastic about the idea. And so he facilitated a handoff to the dean of at that time was the department chair of the College of Computing, is now the dean, Dr. Tony Pittarisi, who was equally enthusiastic. And then we had to put together lots of different working groups with admissions, with recruitment, with student support, with housing. And every one of those conversations, the people on the other side were as enthusiastic about the idea as we were. So that kind of enthusiasm up and down the management chain at ETSU was the reason why they stood out as a partner. In other cases, you might have an excited president, but a department chair who wasn't interested. You might have a really excited department chair, but the admissions office was, throwing up lots of, warning signs and saying, no, we can't really do this. But ETSU was the single institution that every step along the way, with different departments, with different teams, were as excited about the idea and willing to take the risk as we were. And so that's what made the partnership work. You got to find somebody who's aligned with you. You have to know what the core guiding principles are and be aligned on those so that you can get to the right answers for students.
And this is an innovative program. It is really outside of the box thinking in a way to fill the workforce gaps that you are talking about. Does that innovation also transfer into the curriculum? Are you incorporating innovation into the curriculum in your training methods as well?
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's one of the things that makes any curriculum around technology challenging to begin with. So I think by its very nature, technology is constantly evolving. We thought that ETSU's curriculum was as advanced as it could possibly be. I mean, it's one of the few institutions in the country that are internationally accredited by ABET. But, technology today and technology 5 years, I mean, we weren't even talking about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence 5 years ago. 5 years from now, I'm very confident there'll be something that we don't know about that is not part of the curriculum. But ETSU is constantly looking at it and evolving it. And so is our workforce. And so we're moving as fast as we possibly can to make sure that the learning that students are getting is relevant as is possible. But the field is advancing so rapidly that can be an ongoing challenge. So I might throw that on there as another area of challenge because technology is just moving so quickly.
Yeah. No, totally understand that. And so as you think about the aspiring healthcare professionals who are coming up and who are hearing about this program and getting really excited about it, what advice would you give to individuals considering a career in healthcare, especially in the context of technological advancements?
This is going to be a field where you're going to have plenty of opportunities and plenty of opportunities for advancement that's constantly going to be, challenging you to be, new and better every single day. And so this is what a college education, in my opinion, should be about. Like, yes, there's other things outside of finding a job at the end of the day, but if you're pursuing something that will eventually lead you to a job and a meaningful career, you're on the right track. Now, it doesn't need to be in technology. That's not everybody what everyone's going to focus on. But for those who are interested in making an impact in healthcare, having a strong foundation in technology is essential. At the very first conversation that I had with our CEO, he said, I'm a doctor and a lawyer by training. The CEO 10 years from now is going to have a steep foundation in computing and computer science because that's where the business is going. And so that's what I would say to people who are interested.
And so for students who are able to be a part of this program, how can students best prepare themselves to succeed in programs like what you're offering at BlueSky or any sort of program that might be similar?
Well, I would go back to enthusiasm for the field. I mean, so if you've never had exposure, there are ways for you to, go online and get credentialing yourself, to go on to learn yourself different coding languages, to learn how things work behind the scenes. And it is usually the most impressive to us as an admissions group when somebody has not had the opportunity to take computing courses because their high school doesn't offer it, but they said, I I have loved this since I was 5 years old. I've loved video games to start with. And so I wanted to know how they worked. And so I went on YouTube and I learned Python. You can learn a lot of this stuff without having access to the courses because of the aid of technology. So if you can demonstrate your enthusiasm for the field of technology by going out and doing things on your own, even if they're not credentialed, even if they're not giving you like a class because your school doesn't offer it, if you come in with those examples and that enthusiasm for the field and you've demonstrated that in your real life, it's going to shine out a lot more than anything else, especially to our admissions committee who's looking at a lot of things, but they're looking at enthusiasm for the field highly among them.
Well, this is definitely a timely program and lots of great partnerships that exist as a result of these organizations coming together to solve this huge crisis. When you said that there were 750,000 at the beginning, you were talking about 20% vacancies and things of that nature. All of the data supports that these programs are really necessary.
Yep.
And it seems like the theme for this is enthusiasm. So just quick shout out to Melissa Graham, Brian Noller, and Dr. Tony Metarucci for being on board with you. So I also wanted to make sure that they got their flowers as you were highlighting them throughout our time together. So thank you for this work. I will continue to find ways to support students and helping to really fulfill these workforce gaps. But we appreciate the work that these organizations are doing to fill the gaps. So thank you for this conversation today, Brad.
Thanks for tuning in to the Getting Smart podcast today. We want this podcast to be actionable, insightful, and a great way to learn about what's next in learning. In order to stay on the cutting edge, we need people in the field to tell us what they're hearing, what they're wanting, and what they're needing to learn more about. Got a topic or a guest in mind? Send your recommendations to me, Mason at gettingsmart.com. And if you like what you're hearing, don't forget to leave a review in Apple Podcasts or subscribe wherever you listen. Feel free to share the podcast on social media using the hashtag GSPodcasts. Thanks so much.